Yeah, it started an era of you want your rivals to dislike you, not feel sorry for you.
I mean, imagine Arsenal Fan TV was around back then. Oh my God.
Absolute explosion, man.
There'd be riots. There'd be riots.
Fucking losing his shit again, man.
Yeah. I'm glad. You just keep hearing that.
Yeah. And so, since we're already at it, what are your hopes and feelings about Arsenal for this season?
Oh, it's better. I think Arteta's got the right idea. I think he's bought well. I think the squad believe in him.
Yeah.
And I think the board seems to be backing him. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, but whether it's a train at the other end or actual sunshine, we don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out at the end of the season.
I get the feeling it's still quite a long tunnel as well. But I feel like they are backing him. The 50 mil for Partey was a big statement, I think.
Yeah, I mean, things I was reading today is saying he had quite a good game today. But personally, I don't know too much about him. But I'm sure we'll see. The proof is in the pudding. We'll see how he turns out.
Yeah, I think it's the type of player we've needed. So I think it could be a good statement.
So my final question would be: can you see any 8-2 defeats ahead this season? That's well over.
No, I think that's well over. I think our defence is a bit more solid nowadays. So yeah, I think we're all right.
Right, you've heard it here first on the Anglo-Italian Connection Football Podcast. No 8-2 defeats for Arsenal this season. You can always tune back to our Halloween special. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us, Kamal. It was great talking to you.
It was good seeing you guys. Take it easy.
And good luck to Arsenal this season. Talk to you later, man. Bye-bye.
Hello. So my name is Tom Wayne. I'm calling from a place called Sandbach, which is just down the road from Crewe, which is where I know Rory from, unfortunately. And my horror story is, as a West Ham supporter, is the 2010-2011 season where we got relegated in horrendous fashion under Avraham Grant.
Okay, good. So take us through, give us a bit of context, the setting, what's going on.
So it was a bit of a tumultuous time for a West Ham supporter anyway. We'd just been taken over by new owners following a quite an optimistic period under Icelandic ownership, bizarrely, where we were buying a lot of players, a lot of kind of big name players that turned out not to be as good as we thought they'd be. Big name players on big wages. There's quite a lot of optimism around. One stage, couple of top half finishes, which is a good achievement for West Ham. And then kind of things started to spiral. So we got new owners, which initially was a very good thing because we were probably 6 months away from liquidation.
Yeah.
We had Gianfranco Zola as a manager at the time.
I remember that well. We met him at Crewe, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah. I sneaked in, didn't I? And I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone. That was a shame. But yeah, it was quite good. We played good football under Zola, but the results weren't quite there. The new owners came in and they wanted to kind of make their own mark, so they bought in. They got rid of Zola at the end of the season, where we just stayed up. The season before, the one I'm about to talk about, only just stayed up by 1 or 2 points, I think. Got rid of Zola and bought in Avraham Grant, who initially didn't look like a terrible appointment. He did all right at Chelsea, although he was basically, I think, with that team, he just told them to go out and do what they do, and they did it. And he did all right at Portsmouth, albeit they got relegated, but he got them to the FA Cup final, and he did all right. So at the time of the appointment, I wasn't overwhelmed, but I wasn't particularly underwhelmed either. But then,
it was a season-long nightmare. Is there a game that was like the beginning of the nightmare?
They're absolute. The beginning of the nightmare, I'm not sure, but there was definitely a game that epitomised the nightmare, and I was actually there in person. So,
ouch.
We went to we played Newcastle midweek, and that's probably a 500-mile round trip for us.
Yeah, that's a bit of a
maybe 450, 500 miles. I'd never been, so I thought I'll go off. Went up with one of my friends who supports Newcastle as well. It's got a very long and horrendous story short. We ended up being 5-0 up there to an absolutely bang average Newcastle side as well. I think Leon Best, I think it was.
Oh God!
think he scored a hat trick.
Coventry fame.
Yeah, and we were just terrible. And you have to walk about half a mile upstairs to get to this right to the top tier at St James's Park, and just sat there watching your team get spanked 5-0. Now, and you've got 250 miles to go home. Is not much fun.
You get vertigo at the top of St James's Park as well. It's a bit scary when you get up the top there.
Yeah, and then it was pretty mental, and then that was still quite a depressing evening. And then we got out thinking we'd at least be able to hit the tiles in Newcastle, but it turns out nowhere in Newcastle's open midweek, so it was just a bit of a dull affair. We ended up drinking a travel lodge afterwards, so that ended not so well.
A horror story, right?
Exactly, mate. Yeah, it was pretty grim. And then there was another moment as well where I can't remember whether it was a cup game or a league game, but we were playing Wigan. And we turned up to the ground, and somebody was saying, the manager's not coming today. Avraham Grant's not here. We're like, what the hell's he doing? We're in the relegation zone. Why the hell's the manager not here? He swanned off back to Israel to some festival for the weekend.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So it was, that was just another, in isolation, that's probably not much of a big deal, but on top of everything else, that was just another reason to be pretty grim.
Yeah, when it's not going well on the pitch, the last thing you want is your manager not turning up, eh?
Oh, yeah. And then, the whole season, there was a couple of minor highlights, and we beat Spurs that season, which is always nice.
Oh, yeah. That helped.
Freddie Picquion scored. It's a bit of a blast from the past.
Nice.
And then we beat Liverpool at home as well, but other than that, it was just a diabolical. Every game was just you going into it wondering how much we were going to get beat by every single week, no matter whether you're home or away, who you're against.
So if you think of that season, which players come to your mind as like that epitomise that kind of average era?
So the zombies within the horror story, who were they?
I've got a bit of a trivia question for you, actually, Tommy, because we had a player on loan from Inter Milan that season. Could you guess who it was?
Will you remind me the season again?
So basically, I'm blaming you personally for this.
Wait. Was it Mauro Zarate?
No.
What was the season?
It was 2010, 2011.
Oh.
Yeah. He only played 10 games for Inter Milan.
He only played 10 games for Inter Milan, and we loaned him right after the treble.
He's from Nigeria.
Is that Arnautovic?
No.
No, didn't he play for West Ham?
Yeah, but he was all right for West Ham.
He did. That was a few years after as well.
All right. Who are you talking about? I'm confused.
He's from Nigeria, if that helps.
Is it Obi?
Obina, yeah. Victor Obina, yeah.
Obina.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Terribly at West Ham, didn't he?
He scored a couple of absolute screamers, I think. It was either a 30-yard screamer or nothing from him, and I think he only scored one or two of those. But he was one of those. He was a flair player coming into a very underperforming, terrible team, so we didn't really see much of him, to be honest. But, that's interesting. And we brought in quite a few good players on loan that season. We had Wayne Bridge.
Wow.
And we also had Robbie Keane on loan from January onwards.
I forgot they both played for West Ham.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he only played very briefly, and both of them weren't particularly good. Again, I think he was just struggling in a terrible team. But just have a look at the team sheet now. We had some really good players on paper. We had like Kieran Dyer, who was a brilliant player, but you could never stay fit. We had like Rob Green in goal, Winston Reid at the back, Jack Collison, Thomas Hitzelsberger, Lewis Boa-Morte, Matthew Upson, Mark Noble. Yeah, Demba Ba as well. We signed Demba Ba in January.
That's the silver lining, right?
Yeah, that's the main thing. But yeah, just one other point on that. There's been a couple of interviews with players after years after Avraham Grant left the team, and one of the more prominent ones I heard on a West Ham podcast was Julian Faubert. I don't know if you know of him, Tommy, but
I do not remember.
He's a couple of funny stats about him. He's a French international, and he was the first player to wear the number 10 after Zidane, and then he signed for West Ham, and his career went downhill. He was a decent enough player, to be fair, a French right back, and he ended up going on loan to Real Madrid for a season, and thought he fell asleep on the bench whilst waiting to come on. If you Google Faubert Real Madrid, you'll see the pictures of it. It's quite good. But yeah, he did an interview. I don't know how long ago it was, a year or so ago, and he just said that Avraham Grant was just the worst manager. He didn't motivate the players. He just wasn't interested in speaking to players at half-time about any tactics. I think his exact words was his motivation was shit. Was these exact words?
This is quote unquote, right?
Yeah. And he was apparently he used to show the players like in the pre-match build-up, they'd be preparing for a game, and he used to show them like videos of basketball games.
What? Why?
They'd be like, "What? No idea." So they'd be like, "Why are you doing it? You're Premier League football manager, and you're showing them videos of basketball games." So yeah, it seems like the players didn't like him, the fans didn't like him, and I saw one quite funny and quite harsh comment about him again on another podcast I've listened to, a West Ham one, saying that Avraham Grant is the only living case of rigor mortis.
Brilliant.
Because if you just look at his face, he's just depressing. Looking at him, his pre-match, post-match, during the game, I don't think his face changed at all. Even when we scored a goal, it was pretty tragic.
He does look like something out of Child's Nightmares, or like a kind of toad that's been turned into a human. It's kind of weird-looking guy. Definitely suits the Halloween theme.
We're running out of time, but Tom, what are your hopes for this season for West Ham?
Well, to be honest, I started quite pessimistically, but I'm quite optimistic now. We've had a good start. We've had a few good results and good performances against some very, very good teams. So I'm hoping for top half is the realistic expectation. 8th or 9th will be fantastic. Hopefully strengthen with a few more players in the January window and push on from there. Really, quite optimistic.
Good. Thank you very much for being with us, Tom. This was quite the horror story.
No problems, guys.
Mate,
no problems. Yeah, it was grim. I was happy to relive it.
Hello, I'm Gav Mack from Two Up Top, Arsenal fan, but it's not Arsenal that I want to talk about here. My actual football nightmare is with my Italian side, Palermo, and it dates back to the 17-18 season where we were cruising at the top of the league for pretty much all of it. The top 3 go up automatically, but if there's a 8-point difference, between the teams in 3rd and further down, they go into a massive playoff. Well, we entered that playoff because we decided to draw loads of games, very Arsenal, and lose a couple of really silly games, very Arsenal again. But we got through to the semi-final, won that, lovely. And in the final, we had to play against Frosinone over 2 legs. Now, if we drew, we would have gone up, which is great. No away goals. But if we lost over 2 legs, as of course you can imagine, we would still be playing Serie B football. Won the first leg. 2-1. Lovely. Happy days, and going to Frosinone, we'd already beat them earlier on that season. So we knew that we had a decent opportunity to be playing Serie A football once again, bringing glory days back when we had players like Cavani, Ilicic, Bazzali, Simon Kjaer, Pastore, all these big names that have played for Palermo. Hopefully be able to attract them again. But that second leg will last in my memory. I had loads of friends round because it was also Nigeria were playing in the World Cup. So people were around the house watching that game. But on my phone, I was watching Palermo game and we went 1-0 down. But it was okay. We're still in pole position. Around the 60-minute mark, we got awarded a penalty. There's no VAR in Serie B, by the way, in Italy. Got awarded a penalty, and Coronado had the ball in his hands, put it on the spot, and he's waiting for the referee to blow his whistle. Anyway, the referee decided to change his mind and give a free kick directly on the edge of the box. Not too much joy of myself. Nothing came of the free kick, and we were just putting pressure, just to try and put it to bed because we weren't good enough defensively. So we had to attack from the front. Anyway, we then get a corner and, what you should do is just sort of put it to bed. But we didn't. We decided to play a ball into the box and they broke. And on their break, they scored. which was lovely, which made it 3-2.